I was in a system dynamics class here at MIT, and a guy named Forrestor came in and gave a guest lecture. Jay had been the founder of this particular approach to understanding systems at MIT. Jay was an engineer. Jay was historically an engineer's engineer. Jay had led a team at MIT that built the first general-purpose digital computers in the 1940s and 50s, late 40s and 50s. He had invented something called core memory. Core memory was the first key technical breakthrough that enabled digital computation. It predated the transistor. It predated all the electronic advances, you might say the hardware stuff of computers. They conceived general-purpose digital computing. They built them. They didn't just build them in laboratories. They supervised the construction of the first 28 general-purpose digital computers that were installed in all around North America to coordinate the first coordinated air defense system of North America. This is how he got the military to put up the money for it. And his contractor was a company called IBM. So that's how IBM got in the computer business. Jay's engineering students supervised IBM not only designing but building them and installing them. I remember asking Jay a little bit about that probably a couple years after I'd been at MIT, but then he became my mentor and I got to know him. And I was talking to him one day. I said, well, here you are, you're like 35 years old and you finished this project. I think it got finished, he was in his mid-30s. You know, what an incredible accomplishment. It must have been incredibly exciting. He said, no. At that point, he said all the real work had been done. He said, it was very clear to me that for at least a couple of generations, people would use computers to do what people had always done, just faster, processing lots of data. He said it would take at least 2 or 3 generations before people used computers to do what people had never done. He said, that's when it would get interesting again. So he left the computer field entirely and came over here and was creating this systems field. And I always thought there's, again, real interesting clues there. Of course, technology is important. And I get a little bit cynical today of the razzle-dazzle of technology. We're kind of dazzled. And I think dazzle is the right word. It's like, it's, wow, look what my phone can now do. But they're just machines. And it's never the whole story. It's only a little piece of the story. Now, obviously, it's an important piece of the story. It's part of that global interconnectedness that I was referring to before. That interconnect has been technologically enabled. But machines ultimately do what humans can conceive. And if the humans can't conceive it, it doesn't happen. And so Jay was absolutely right. It wasn't that the technology would thwart further developments. It's that people would not have started to imagine such new and radically different ways that would make the technological progress once again interesting. And of course today that's what we're right in the middle of. You know, so on the one hand we've got this path of virtual reality. You know, maybe we won't even have to eat after a while. I mean, certainly we won't have to go anywhere. You know, we'll wrap those goggles around ourselves and we'll be transported anywhere, we'll do anything. Obviously, you can directly stimulate the neuroanatomy to create whatever experiences the neuroanatomy, the senses, produce. And that, I think, is a great danger. You referenced Master Nan, the Chinese Chan Buddhist, Taoist, Confucian master, who once commented to me, the biggest danger in the world, he said, far bigger than the danger of war, is the danger of virtuality. That sooner or later, our evolutionary interdependence between a phenomenal reality out there, our sensory experience of it, our consciousness, you know, as we were talking before, what's the way I experience that? That whole feedback loop could actually be broken in a very particular way where the phenomenal reality is no longer about Mother Earth. It's no longer about the physical context within which we have co-evolved. As a species, we and our environment has co-evolved. That's always the way it is. It's usually on a very local scale, but as I was saying, right now, it's kind of on a global scale. So the Earth and us are connected at such a profound level. So now we're just going to play around with the neuroanatomy itself, and that connection to the larger reality starts to get broken. Who knows what happens? I mean, it'll still be there, of course, because, for example, all these great gadgets take energy, and that energy mostly comes from coal around the world. And so that is destabilizing climate around the world. So that feedback loop is still there. The question is our awareness going to be there?